All right. So we are live and okay, perfect. So just wanted to show up. We have another day. Wanted to keep the momentum from last week, show up, answer whatever questions you have specifically about LinkedIn for today, but also if there are some questions just related to marketing, that is okay too. I also wanted to start the live in case you don't know who I am. My name is Shanae Ray, and I'm the founder of Growth Academy Global. Have about 1 million followers on LinkedIn and over 425,000 LinkedIn newsletter subscribers. The format for today's live is because we are on YouTube and because I want to show appreciation to the YouTube community. I wanted to go through some of the comments that we've been getting because as the channel keeps growing, we have comments on the chats. I wanted to go through those comments and answer some of them that we haven't had the chance to answer yet. And so I'm going to go through the list. And if you're watching the live and you also have a question, just make sure that you put your question in the comments of the live and I will also answer it. So just give me a second. I'm going to pull this up. Okay. So the first question on here is, what is your take on doing a video of a live event where it is a group event on LinkedIn? And this is a great question. So what they're asking is, and I think they're asking this because in some of the trainings that we do, I advise for you to start your LinkedIn live events solo. You solo on the camera, especially if you're new to building a personal brand, it will really build your authority versus you leveraging collaboration or using collaboration as this constant crutch where you're never seen standing on your own or where you don't give your audience enough time to associate you with a particular expertise. So for context, if this is the first time that you're seeing my content, that's probably why they're asking the question. And the answer to this question is I think that group events are great. It depends on the group, right? So just know that when you're organizing the group, like if I were going to organize a live event with a group on video on LinkedIn, I would be very specific about the topic. And there's one that I have been thinking about recently. So I'm just going to share it. If I were to do this, I would do something along the lines of how to get your first client, right? And let's just say that that would be the topic. And I'm going into that live event with the purpose of sharing different ways that new business owners can get their first client on LinkedIn. Now, who would I choose for that live event? I would choose people that I know were able to get at least one client on LinkedIn. And I probably wouldn't choose people that have done it in the same way. I would choose maybe someone that's done it with live events, someone that's done it with outbound, someone that's done it with just sharing text content, another person that's done it with newsletters, maybe have someone with a physical product and then a coaching product and then a very high ticket consulting product so that different types of audiences when they watch it on LinkedIn could benefit. I would also make sure that the boundaries were pretty well communicated with the co-hosts of the event or the speakers of the event, so to speak. You know, are they allowed to pitch? Are they not? If they're going to pitch, you know, how is that going to happen? When is it going to happen? Is it going to be in the description? Are they going to do it when they talk? All of those things need to be kind of talked about beforehand. But I think overall, as long as it's helpful for the audience, as long as the people that you bring in to speak are people that could benefit and help your audience and whose network are full of people that are your prospects, then why not? It's mutually beneficial for everyone. Okay. Also, if you're going to do that, take the responsibility to market the event. I don't think it would be their responsibility to market it. The worst thing is to get asked to speak at a thing and then be given 25 line items on how you have to market the event because they didn't. So if you're going to ask people to do that, make sure that at least you're doing the same. That's just my opinion. And again, if you weren't here from the beginning, if you have any type of LinkedIn marketing question, put it in the chat. I'm answering questions. So the second question that I have here from someone in the link in the YouTube community is, the name is Senap Turgut. Okay. And the first question came from C Optimal. This question is a great one. I have LinkedIn newsletter. I launched a LinkedIn newsletter. It has 2,200 subscribers within 7 days, but how can I turn them into leads? This is a trap that I see a lot of people on LinkedIn that launch their LinkedIn newsletter get into, which is, okay, you launch your LinkedIn newsletter, you have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 10,000 subscribers, whatever the list is, but not very many people can turn subscribers into actual quote unquote leads or even better clients. So how do you do that? The first thing to do is really to rephrase the question to yourself to where you have more control. So instead of asking, how can I turn my newsletter subscribers into leads? Maybe you would ask, what can I share or write about or create a video about, which I would then embed into my LinkedIn newsletter that would make my ideal client, my perfect client, want to have a call with me, right? So that's a very different question. And I think the first step is reframing that question. So re-asking yourself the other question. The second step is really to write for the final yard line. And if you have a notebook or anything close by, or you're just maybe listening, pay close attention, because this is something that a lot of people in marketing and in business school, and there's just this myth that you have to consistently educate your prospect. And I think that that is a false thing that we like, a false belief. So let me explain. A lot of you, when you launch your LinkedIn newsletter or when I look at your content from afar, you are writing for the ideal client, or you're writing for the prospect on the first yard line instead of the final yard line. And for me, let's just use me as an example. That would mean me writing for the first yard line would look like, how do I create a LinkedIn account? What is LinkedIn? Why is LinkedIn important? Those are great questions to answer, but they're not necessarily great questions to answer for my perfect client. Okay. My perfect client already knows why LinkedIn is important. They already know how to use LinkedIn. They already have a LinkedIn profile. My perfect client maybe even is attempting to create content on LinkedIn on their own and is a little bit impatient. So they'll give it about 2 to 3 weeks. But at that month tipping point, they're already looking for, who can I pay that can make this faster so that I don't have to suffer as much, because they want to learn and they want to see the results. So for me, writing for that final yard line prospect would look like, you've been posting on LinkedIn for 3 weeks and nothing is happening. Here's what to do next, right? And so that, it's just a different person that would read that. And so that's really the second thing that I would do, is make sure that you're writing for the prospect at the final yard line versus the first yard line. Now, that is if your goal is to get clients sooner rather than later. But if you could hold your breath, let's say for a year, and you just want to build up a massive list and just do a launch in a year, then that's a little bit different. But we won't get into that today. Most of the listeners want clients sooner rather than later. The third step would be to make sure that there's an actual call to action within each and every single one of the editions of your LinkedIn newsletters. And I know that may sound self-explanatory or self-evident, but the truth of the matter is that when I look at most of the articles within people's LinkedIn newsletters, there is no call to action, or the call to action is somewhere in between or so hard to see that I'll just miss it. So make sure that there's a call to action in every single one of your newsletter editions. On top of that, make sure that it is not easy to miss. So it's in your article and it's smoothly in your article 2 or 3 times. And make sure that the call to action makes sense within the context of your article. So if I'm writing about how to create a LinkedIn profile, it would be kind of weird if I instantly shift towards a call to action, which is like, how to start doing your LinkedIn live events. I could go there, but I would have to kind of build it up within the article to explain, okay, now that you've created your LinkedIn profile, these are the things you want to do next. And when you get to this final step, come to the training so you can learn how to do the live events. But a better call to action for that type of article would be, oh, now that you've created your profile, here's how to optimize it. You see what I'm saying there? Is that you almost can't skip too many steps, which is why your call to action should be curated for the final yard line prospect. And it should just smoothly transition into, oh, this makes perfect sense as the next step. If not, there's going to be so much in between that's when you get a bunch of prospect calls and they're like, oh, well, I'll let you know, or I'll let you know when I'm ready. It's because you're not writing for the right person. Okay. And then, so that would be the third thing that I would do. The fourth thing that I would do. So is that the third thing or the fourth thing? So the first thing was to reframe the question. Second thing was to write for the final yard line. Third thing would be to have the call to action and make sure that it's contextually correct. And then the fourth thing would be to lead them to something live, or to just make sure that you have video inside of your newsletter. A lot of you are not creating videos on LinkedIn or hosting live events, and the LinkedIn newsletters are a great distribution tool for that. So if they're only seeing an image of you and text, and you're not really convincing them with the text, or what you share should have more visuals, should have more personality, it requires a little bit more description, then I would just lead them to a live event. And then during the live event, you obviously lead them to your consultation. Now, the final thing, the fifth and final thing, is that making sure that your call to action is a good one. Now, what does that actually mean? Mentioning your call to action and even making sure that it's contextually correct doesn't mean that your call to action is a good offer. So one of the biggest mistakes that people do when they're creating a winning offer or following a book like $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi is that they only apply those principles to their paid offer. You also have to apply it to the free offer. Okay. Whether that's a consultation, whether that's an audit, whether that's a challenge, whether that's a webinar, I don't care what it is. But one of the things that will probably get you clients from subscriber to client is to have a phenomenal free offer. Now, what does that exactly mean? I'll give you an example. I get a lot of DMs, emails, comments on our YouTube channel, and it'll be like, your thumbnails suck. Schedule a consultation and give me your time so that we can talk about creating better thumbnails. And it's like, that could potentially be true, but I'm not going to risk 20 minutes, 25 minutes of my time. And I have no context of you being able to deliver better thumbnails. So in that case, maybe the better call to action would be, schedule a 10-minute meeting. I'll create a thumbnail for you in 10 minutes and then we can talk. Or even better, here, I created this thumbnail, A/B test it, and then we could schedule a consultation. But the thing is that a lot of people don't want to do the front end work. So on the call to action side, a lot of call to actions just are not good. And all you're asking for is, hey, schedule a consultation. I have no idea what to expect. I have no idea what the process is. I have no idea what we're going to do on the consultation. I have no idea what I'm expected to walk away with. I mean, I know that I'm potentially going to be sold, but other than that, what? And, so make sure that it's just better. That would be the second question. So those are 5 steps answering how to turn subscribers into a client. Let's go to more questions. And if you're watching, just whatever question you have about LinkedIn marketing, you can put it in the comments and I'll answer. So next one is by Explore Groove. If I want my short form video to show up in the beta video feed on LinkedIn, which I do not have access to yet, I imagine it should be in the vertical format, correct? Have you heard of any new target date for the larger rollout of the video feed? Yes, all it has to do is be in the vertical format. I'd also advise that you provide a text description when you post the video, that the video is educational, between 45 seconds to 2 minutes, and that it has captions. And you'll have a good sense of whether that video made it onto the beta feed if you see a lot of second and third degree connections commenting on the video. So if out of nowhere you have one video that's kind of an outlier, no one that you know or that usually engages with you on LinkedIn is commenting on the video, and you see like random people that are second and third degree connections, that's usually a good indicator that it was shown on the beta feed. You don't have to be in the beta program to be shown on the beta feed. We have several clients who are not, and yet when we're scrolling the beta feed for the TikTok style videos that are currently in beta on LinkedIn, we will sometimes see their videos. And no, I have not heard of a new target date. I would just say like LinkedIn takes their time, and I wouldn't hold your breath. Okay. Let's see here. I'm going to keep going. Okay. Shanae, can you save replays of LinkedIn Lives to repurpose? Yes, you can. So if you use StreamYard or Restream, which I highly recommend, then if you have a paid subscription on it, I think it's 15 to 20 bucks a month, you can then download the recordings of your replays and then repurpose them into video shorts, into newsletters, into text posts, into a lot of stuff, maybe even into ebooks. The other option is to go live through Zoom on LinkedIn. And then I believe that you would also have to have a paid account to get recordings on Zoom. I may be mistaken on that, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. And there are a lot of people that will not take that advice, and then they'll go live on StreamYard, and then because they kept it free, because they were just trying to maybe circumvent the process, and then they'll panic and try to message us and say, oh, I never upgraded my StreamYard. Is there any other way for me to get the recording? I don't know of any other way other than like screen recording your computer, and that takes a long time. So, okay, let's see. I'm just looking at the questions here. I'm trying to understand this. You record a live YouTube video, 20 minutes, and then do you create a bunch of shorts from that video? I love your shorts, and then I notice they take me to our longer video. Is that correct? So yes, on YouTube, I think it was probably like 2 months ago or 3 months ago, when you upload a short now, it will give you an option to add a related video, and you have the opportunity to connect that short to a related video so that if someone likes that short, they could then jump to the related video that is longer on your channel. And that is a YouTube feature. Okay, next question. Let me see. I got a good one on last night. Here we go. I want to answer this person's question. Hi, Shanae. I'm always catching your content on YouTube. I'm trying to remember something you said in one of your newsletter videos. Did you say that when someone signs up as a new connection or follower, they get prompted to sign up for the newsletter? Yes. So there's this thing on LinkedIn that if you have now, people have the option to turn it off, but because most people don't know how to use LinkedIn, they don't know that that's even an option. And so most of the people have this trigger turned on. And so if I go to your LinkedIn profile, I'm not a connection, I'm not a follower, I've never really seen you before, and you just so happen to have a newsletter, what will happen is even if I don't connect or follow you and I just check out your profile, LinkedIn is going to immediately send me a trigger. So it'll say, "Hey, do you want to subscribe to John's newsletter about XYZ?" And so when people ask me what is the strategy to grow your newsletter once you actually launch it, it's to get in front of new people, and that comes down to content. So I hope that answered your question. Uh, okay. Next, I'm scrolling down. And if you have any questions about LinkedIn marketing, just put them in the comments and I'll be happy to answer. But I'm just answering from people's comments on the channel right now. All right. Okay, identifying my ICP. Most marketing advice focuses on identifying all kinds of traits regarding a client base. However, this implies already having enough traffic, interest, and sales for a useful amount of data. And many small businesses haven't reached that level. It's a catch 22. So he's basically asking, like, how do you figure out your ideal client if you don't have any clients? And it's a great question. Uh, I'll answer this question with this story, and then I'll answer this question in a different way. So I once had someone come to me. They had a few thousand connections on LinkedIn, and she's like, "Hey, I have a few thousand connections on LinkedIn. I know I can monetize, but I have no idea what I'm doing." And all I told her to do was just share something that she had done during that day for about 30 to 45 days. And so she did. She would just share just an inspirational message, what was going on in her life, so on and so forth. Part of this process was that she was studying for this exam. She just so happened to pass it. And when she passed it, a bunch of people were reaching out saying, "Hey, how did you pass it?" Now, when that happened, that's all that I needed to see. It's like, oh, that's what they want to buy from you, is they want help passing this exam. She listened to that advice and now she has a multiple six-figure online business helping other people pass that exam with a 99% pass rate for her students. She didn't know what she was going to do. But so the first kind of lesson here is putting yourself out there for a long enough duration of time and sharing maybe three different things of what you think could take off and giving it enough time for the market to truly decide and reveal what it is that they want from you. So that's one take. The other take is to kind of just listen in between the lines. And I'll give you one example. So for the summer, we have this like massive above ground pool because my daughter loves to swim, so on and so forth. So I started calling all the pool companies and I said, "Hey, I need this pool cleaned. I need a pool cleaning service. What's the price?" All of them. I have like seven locally. And they all said, "We don't do above ground pools." And the last guy, I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, "Because they're a pain in the butt." And I was like, "But that's why I'm calling, because they're a pain in the butt and I don't want to clean this." And he's like, "Yeah, well, we don't do it." And so, like, if I didn't have any other skills and I was a teenager or like a like 25 years old, had nothing to do during the summer, whatever, and uh I mean, there's a market. Somebody could literally overtake this town by just offering above ground cleaning pool services, and they could charge people at least $200 a month, $150 a month just to keep it clean. And there's probably more above ground pools than regular pools, especially during the summer. Somebody could easily build a six-figure business just by identifying that gap. There's zero competition. I called all of the companies in this town. And so, like, it's really identifying gaps where you have leverage. When I started to just, when I started, online, it was really just my first goal was just to replace my income at my previous job. And so I was just looking at like freelance writing. And because I had some know how in healthcare, and because my previous job was in the healthcare space, I went into that niche even for freelance writing. And there was just a lot less competition because not many people understood how to write in the healthcare space without sounding like a robot or a doctor. And so that eventually turned into an agency just because there was so little competition, and because of just my, exposure and quote unquote experience, which was really just exposure to something that other people had not really been exposed to. So I could do a whole video on that. It's a great question, but the real answer lies in the market decides. I don't subscribe to go through this exercise, create your avatar. That's kind of wishful thinking, and sometimes it could work. But I've also seen businesses where they went through that exercise, and then you're like, yes, but they're telling you their avatar is like a 30-year-old woman with no kids, blah blah blah. And then you're like, yes, but who actually pays you and refers clients? And they're like, 55-year-old empty nesters. And it's like, well, then that's not your avatar. Right. So, and if you choose for it to be your avatar, then you're choosing to fight a tsunami, and good luck. Right. So, whatever questions, and I see more people jumping on here. So, whatever questions you have about LinkedIn marketing, I'll probably be on for another 10 minutes. Just put them in the comments. All right. Let me go back to the questions from the commenters on the channel. Okay, let's see. Okay, so creator mode is gone. How do I add a newsletter now? Someone said that a month ago, Soprano Pizza. I love that username, Soprano Pizza JMFNJ. That's the one thing I don't like about YouTube is that I can't, like, I'm so used to LinkedIn that it's just someone's like formal name. And this is more like Facebook, where people's names are just random things that don't even make sense. But I'm sure yours makes sense, Soprano Pizza. So all you have to do is go to your feed on LinkedIn, and you will have to do this on your laptop or your desktop. You can't do it on your phone. And then when you click home, you'll see like start a post, as if you're starting a post, and you have to click write article. There's like 10 tutorial videos on the channel. Just look up newsletter and it'll show you how to do it. Okay, let's go to the next question. And if you have a LinkedIn marketing question, just put it in the comments. So how do you actually post a short video to be shown in the beta feed on LinkedIn? Do you just post the video as a regular post, or is there a certain type of video when posting? So this kind of relates to a previous question. You just posted a vertical style video like this one on LinkedIn between 45 seconds to 2 minutes with captions, and make sure that you add text in the description area where you have the ability to add text. Okay. And if you're still watching and you're interested in growing on LinkedIn, just know that we're having a challenge next week. You could register at yougrow.club, yougrow.club. Shot cars on the treadmill. That's funny. All right. One more question. Let me scroll down here. Okay. What connection messaging are you doing once you find the right contacts? What are some high level examples? So it really depends on context. I think that this one question was, once you launch your LinkedIn newsletter, how do you actually send someone a message? Because when you do launch your LinkedIn newsletter, you get a list of the subscribers. And so if I were you, I would just go through that list. Now, everyone on that list goes like you'll see first, second, or third at the top right of their name. If it says first, it means you're already connected with them, whether you remember it or not. If it says second, then it means that you're not connected with them. You can connect, and same with third. So if you see someone with a second or third that you want to connect to, I would just send them a thing and just call out the elephant in the room and say, hey, I saw you subscribe to my LinkedIn newsletter. Thanks. Or I appreciate you for doing that. And then if they say, yeah, no problem, you want some, like, I think one huge misconception with LinkedIn messaging is that it's like other social media platforms. And what LinkedIn was designed for was not to be a social media platform, but a networking platform. So they really reward conversations. And part of having a conversation is not just throwing a huge message out like you're a bot and not having rebuttal. Like a true conversation, I talk a little bit, you listen, you talk a little bit, I listen if I don't space out, or right, or if you're not boring. And then back and forth, we get along, whatever. And so you really want that opportunity when you connect with people on LinkedIn. So I would just send that one sentence, and then you could even be like, how's your day? And they'll be like, yeah, no problem. Like I really want to learn about XYZ. And then you can say, well, I'm organizing my content calendar, and do you have one question that I could answer in an upcoming edition? And then they could reply. So, like if someone were to audit all of my LinkedIn messages, the messages on average are probably less than 2 sentences, and there's a lot of back and forth. And they're probably like, no, it just sounds like I'm texting a friend because I'm just saying what's on my mind in the moment, versus sounding like a formalized automated bot. What can I do if I don't have any budget to run marketing ads? I guess my question would be, why do you think you need to run marketing ads? That's funny. And that would really be my rebuttal to that. I see ads like for two people, okay? And even the people with resources, mind you, like I have clients that the resources are not the problem. And they may come to me at a phase in their life where they've exited one business that made them a lot of money, and they sold it, they exited, whatever. And now they're just doing like a passion business. And even they understand, someone who's done tech, scaled that large, that you don't put gasoline on grass. Like nothing's going to happen. You put gasoline on fire. And for the fire to start raging, you need a little bit of indication data wise of what is going to resonate with your audience and convert. And you could either pay for that with just starting with ads and then throwing a lot of money and iteration and then figuring it out, or you could do some organic, figure out what works for the first 90 days, and then start to pour gasoline on the fire. That's what you want to do. Or you could just also leverage organic, you know. How do you driving post to business? How do you balance your God mission to the business? So what is your mix of personal slash society driving post to business? What does that mean? I guess ask it in a way that I understand. How do you balance your God mission to the business? So I think like one of the answers to your question would be I couldn't really separate both. Um, like if you're not in a business, and this is I see a lot of people get trapped in a business that they're no longer excited about or that they don't really believe in anymore, and so subconsciously there could be some resistance to market that business. I see this a lot also in sales professionals. Like they're wanting to rise to the top in a business that they truly don't believe in or that doesn't align with their morals and values. And there's always going to be some resistance there. Like stuff where you call out society compared to talking about how to post content. Stuff where you call out society. Like give me an example. So I think it just really like if you're talking about like culture, like current trending stuff, if you give me an example, it'll help. But to your other question, I really think that your mission should be aligned with your business. At least your mission for this season in your life, because that could change too. Yeah. So, okay, I see what you're saying. So, like, I did a post, and then what do you sell, Ryan? Do you sell how to create content, like how to post content? Okay, I see exactly what you're saying. So, the answer to your question really, like, what I would do if I were you is I would audit your top 20% clients. Now, don't just audit things about what they're asking you related to your services, but almost audit what else they're interested in outside of what it is that you sell. That could be like a cousin topic or a sub cousin topic. So, for example, if I help people grow on LinkedIn, and part of growing on LinkedIn is creating consistent newsletters. And because I am in the trenches with my clients, I know that they're asking me things like, how do I write a LinkedIn newsletter with Claude or ChatGPT? Then that's how I would combine the two. Does that make sense? The other thing is to just know, okay, well, they're interested in AI, but at what level? Like, so if I were to create AI related content for my audience, it would not be about, connecting the API to the LLM. Like nobody's interested in that in for my clients, right? They don't care. They may be interested in a beginner tutorial on how to create a custom GPT. And I could think about other ways they could leverage it. So if I serve a lot of clients that are coaches, I could create a thing like how to create a custom GPT that could develop the curriculum for your coaching program. That has nothing to do with LinkedIn, but because I have evidence that it probably still relate to them, then I'm still hitting the right audience. Does that make sense? It's always about your top customers. Like I am like I could create a whole course just on paying attention to your top clients and even things that they do that they don't really even mention. Like, for example, like one of my clients this week, she sold her businesses like a year ago. And she's very successful building her passion business, but she still is so like driven that I think she said she didn't have a vacation in almost 5 years. And that for the first week ever, she was gonna have to read it. She was gonna read a book. She's like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm not building. This feels weird. And this is the case for a lot of my clients is that they're in building phase. And so how do they unplug even when they're on the vacation? And so I could create things about that, or what helps me, or maybe do like a whole talk about it, or go contrarian and say why you shouldn't unplug during the season of your business while you're on vacation. And that would resonate with them. So it's really just about paying attention. Does that make sense? And I would do like AI. I'd kind of just see what the top three things are that they have in common. Like for us, it's family, faith, personal development, AI stuff. And I'd probably do at least 20% of that type of content, maybe 30%. But I don't know what phase you are in building your personal brand. But I appreciate the question. It's a great question. It's actually a high level question, and not one that people do well. And so, and one piece of advice that I've been given by people with much bigger followings than me is that, let's say like I wanted to try a new sort of bucket or kind of topic that I try to tap into, that I think, just based on, contextual experience talking to my clients, that they would resonate with. You don't just give it one shot. So if I were to post like 5 different videos or different posts around that topic, and all of them would fall flat, then I know that it's probably not the right one. But I also don't just want to give it one time. You have to give it enough time, but not too long. All right, cool. Yeah, so this was a great live, 40 minutes in, and keeping up with this momentum. We'll be live on this channel 6 times this week, because I truly want to test and experience what's going to happen even within like 30 days of really going live, like at least 6 times a week. So we will see what happens. My dog is barking in the background, and motherhood calls. All right. God bless you. We'll be live earlier tomorrow, probably late morning, and I'll see you then. Ciao. Subscribe to the channel, share it with a friend. If you want to grow on LinkedIn, email me.